Welcome, Pewter Report readers and listeners, to another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. I am John Ledyard, and my boss Scott Reynolds is here on this podcast, brought to you and energized by our friends over at Celsius. Scott, not how the Bucs wanted to go into the bye, not how you and I wanted to go into the bye. What a weird game, man. We didn't pick the Bucs to win. A weird flood of emotions after this game. I'm not really sure how to process all that we just watched. A really disjointed effort for the Bucs this afternoon.
Yeah, John, and I think when you go back and look at the first quarter, right, down 17-0 early, Tyreek Hill just goes off for two big touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
And John, we've seen this now the past month. 52-7, this team has been outscored in the first quarter.
It's just crazy.
If you go back to the Giants game, it's been 59-10. I believe they only had the lead in one of those games in the first quarter, and that was the Giants game. Every other game has either been tied or most of them, they've been down in the first quarter. Yeah. So they dig themselves these holes. And against lesser teams like Carolina and the New York Giants, you can claw your way out of it and eke out a win. In the Bucs case against Carolina, they ended up blowing them out in the second half. But John, against good teams, right? It's not going to happen. You can't do this. If you do this in the playoffs, you're done early.
Right.
And
we've got so much to talk about on this show. Yeah, it's a huge problem. And because it's great quarterback. Great quarterbacks are destroying the Bucs right now. So we've got to talk about this defense. We've got to talk about what can be salvaged with this group, Scott. I mean, it's frustrating to watch right now. I'm telling you, I know exactly what the Bucs need to start off these games. They need to grab a Celsius, John. Let's go. They do. They need some of this energy. I mean, here we are on the podcast late at night, and we're able to bring the energy and bring the noise because all of this is brought to you by our friends over at Celsius. Your boy got his Celsius this week, Scott.
Yeah, look at you, man. Excellent.
Big times here in the Ledyard household. Big times. 6 cases. I got some good stuff here, Scott. I'm excited about. I haven't even tried them all yet. I'm excited about it. This heat is great.
Haven't either. Well, what flavor is the heat, John? Which kind of?
So the heat that I have here is jackfruit. It's a pre-workout. I don't take pre-workout. In fact, I was telling you all this. I don't drink caffeine at all. I don't drink any soda or pop, or I don't drink coffee, like nothing. No energy drinks my whole life. I've never drank any of that stuff really. So this is a big change for me. So here I am, 9:33 at night, and this thing's open. This jackfruit's open. So I'm drinking this pre-workout right now. So I might have some hype on the podcast tonight, Scott.
Well, I tell you, they could use a little hype, the Buccaneers in the first quarter. You know, we've talked about some of the fruitier flavors, right? This is the peach mango and my wife's favorite, the watermelon. I like the orange and the grape the best myself. But the one thing I broke down and tried is the cola flavored. Right now, I used to drink Pepsi and Coke as a kid. And I'll tell you what, the interesting thing about this, no sugar, no preservatives, and it's got a tremendous cola flavor that's really right up there with those other beverages. But the thing is this is good for you. It's got B vitamins in it. Yep. And again, no sugar, no preservatives. So if you like soda and you're looking for a healthier alternative, guys, Celsius powers active lives every day with essential functional energy. And now you can get it in cola flavored. So the best thing to do, John, is go to pewterreports.com. Click on those Celsius banners. They're going to take you to Amazon. You can get the variety pack, like right here, where it's got all sorts of different flavors in it. If you want to try some, if you know which kind you like, go ahead and order them by the case. You save money that way. So check out pewterreport.com. Click on those Celsius banners and save some money by getting them in cases.
Yeah, my biggest thing, like I said, I don't drink soda. I don't drink any of these flavored drinks or anything. My biggest question when I was getting them was, am I really gonna like these? Because I'm a pretty authentic dude, Scott. I have a hard time faking it. So I was like, man, what if I don't like them? And then I get on the show and I have to like talk them up. It's gonna be hard for me. But I really like this Celsius heat, this jackfruit, which I hadn't even heard anybody talk about. This jackfruit is awesome. So I'm a huge fan of that one, and I'm excited to try the other ones. I got peach vibe here. Cool. This sparkling white peach limited edition So I feel honored. And then I got this sparkling orange, and I got a couple other flavors downstairs that I'm excited to try as well. So Celsius, good stuff.
Definitely.
All right, Scott, we got a lot to talk about. This game, man, what in the world? I mean, again, coming out flat. I mean, it's hard to understand at this point because the issues aren't always like the same thing, but the Bucs just don't have a lot of chemistry on a consistent basis right now on offense. I mean, even early in the game, like they convert a third, or I don't even know if it's a third down. They get a nice play on the play to Evans and the comeback, and then they throw deep, and it's right there. Like, that's a play. Like, he gets hit. Brady gets hit as he throws. It's right there. It's through, and it's through Evans' hands. And it just feels like when one thing gets fixed, Brady making a great throw under pressure, another thing breaks down, and it's like, man, when is this? Like, is this all going to, and we haven't even gotten to the coaching, but it was a drop there. Cameron Brate drops third down early in the game, and they can't convert. And it's stuff like that. It's like, if the drives could sustain and if they could make these plays, we might not all be pulling our hair out, but they can't even do that. And then there's the coaching stuff that we struggle with. And it just seems like such a disjointed effort.
It is. And when you look too at there's a very manageable 3rd and 3 situation, right? Bruce Arians harps all the time, you got to get out of 3rd and 7. Okay, you're in 3rd and 3. And what's the play call? It's I believe the throw was to Antonio Brown down the sidelines. And, it's 3rd and 3, and you're throwing it 25 yards down the sidelines. I mean, where has Scottie Miller been, right? Scottie Miller, this is the fastest player on the Bucs offense. Why not do a little manufactured screen pass, a little smoke route to him, get him in space with a couple blockers out in front to pick up 3 yards? I'm telling you, Scottie Miller has not been a factor since Antonio Brown has gotten here in Tampa. And I think it's really impacted their first quarter scoring. You look at the production. Scottie Miller, yes, he's been dinged a little bit with the hip and some groin issues. Still, 414 yards, 27 catches, 2 touchdowns. More importantly, John, averaging 15.3 yards per catch. Antonio Brown has come in and gobbled up Scottie Miller's reps. And what have the Bucs gotten in return? Nothing.
Yeah. Right.
We're talking 18 catches for 157 yards. This is numbers coming into tonight. Tonight, he only had 2 catches for 11 yards, was a non-factor. But Antonio Brown averaging 8.7 yards coming into tonight and was targeted 3 times. Scottie Miller only got the 1 target. Unfortunately, it was an interception as Brady was under duress. But John, it's like you look at this, and Miller's been targeted 42 times. Brown, who's only been here just a month, has already been targeted 26. And it's not working out in the Bucs' favor in terms of the bang for the buck that they're getting for Brown. And it's really robbing them of a player that really has got the best downfield chemistry with Tom Brady dating back to training camp.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, and I want to even go back to that play that you mentioned. It's that 3rd and 3, and Antonio Brown, they're using him out of the backfield on that wheel route, and it's kind of like he's first read there, right? So you want to go to Antonio Brown, but because the play is hot, because Brady's getting extra pressure, means the offensive line don't have enough people to block. So Brady is adjusting the route. It's supposed to be hot, so the running back should recognize that pre-snap. But it's not a running back. It's Antonio Brown, and this is where people say, just use Brown out of the backfield. It's a little bit trickier than this, but still, coaching needs to go over these things. If you're going to play Brown in the backfield, then you have to know what your adjustments should be. And Brown has a perfect opportunity just to sit out in the flat, to flatten out that route and get hot, and that's where Brady's going to throw him the ball. He doesn't do that. He gets too vertical on the play, and so Brady has to throw it deep because he's running that way. So Brady can't throw him in a high percentage throw at all. And again, I don't know if that was communicated to Brown. I'm assuming that it was. I don't know. I mean, but he's playing out of the backfield. It's just, again, it's trying to make a lot of pieces work that necessarily don't have chemistry right now. We've seen a chemistry issue with Antonio Brown in almost every game this season. I think he's a very talented player. He is unbelievable hand still, and he's made some tough catches already this season for the Bucs. But the reality is that putting this guy in the offense is crazy.
I know, and he hasn't made impact plays. He's averaging 8.7 yards per catch. It's not like he's doing anything special. Scottie Miller at least has 2 touchdowns this year, right? I mean, Antonio Brown has yet to find the end zone and has just been pedestrian in terms of his production. Has he made a couple of nice short catches? Yeah, fine. He's moved the chains. I mean, Cam Brate's done that. So I really think the Bucs need to rethink the Antonio Brown experiment here at the bye week, and maybe dial his plays down a little bit and get Scottie Miller more involved. I want to thank T. Smitty 3000 for the $5 super chat here. The Bucs remind me of Oklahoma. I'm a Big 12 guy, so know exactly what T. Smitty's talking about. They'll beat up on Baylor and Texas Tech, but are overmatched against Alabama and LSU. Same with the Bucs versus top teams. And you know what? That's a great point. And I'm going to follow it up with another super chat from Brandon here.
Wow.
Really appreciate these guys, stepping up tonight. Am I wrong to feel optimistic about the second half? Good defensive response. Offense rallied after 2 bad picks. Something to build on post-bye. To kind of put those 2 super chat posts together, the Bucs are getting in a hole against really good teams, right? They were down 14-0 against the Saints, 17-0 against the Chiefs. These are Super Bowl caliber teams, at least playoff caliber teams. And you can come back against lesser teams and still find a way to win if you're a good football team. But the problem is against really good football teams, they're not doing that. They're not getting the wins. It's close but no cigar. We saw that with the Rams, down 7-0 in the first quarter. They lost that game, by a field goal. And so,
right.
I want to be somewhat optimistic about it, but I can't be, because right now the Bucs are like the Oklahoma that T. Smitty just talked about. They can beat up on the lesser teams, and that's fine. That's going to get you 10, maybe 11 wins, John.
Right.
But the problem is, you get the playoffs. There's only one bad team in the playoffs, and that's going to be whoever wins the NFC least division. Okay.
Right.
Otherwise, it's going to be good teams in there, and we've seen how the Bucs have played against good teams. John, they've got one quality win against the Packers. They're 0-2 against the Saints. They lost to the Rams. They've lost to the Chiefs. That's 4 losses against playoff caliber teams.
And depending on which Raiders team shows up each week, you could call that maybe a quality. I mean, they were playing great football and have taken the Chiefs to the wire twice. I have a bunch of good wins. Bucs crush them, and so it's just hard to know what's coming. And another point to make, and I'll get to Brian Shaw here. We really appreciate super chat donations. All y'all coming up clutch with the super chat. So appreciate y'all. Brian asked, can we talk about the 49ers down their quarterback, tight end, D end, et cetera? Tons of injuries. They got a bunch of guys in our beat the Rams at home by 3 points. How much better is 49ers coaching? The short answer is a lot better, but also I won't think there's a coach in the league I would take over Kyle Shanahan right now. So it's not totally like a fair comparison. I don't say it to call out any Bucs coaches per se, but the other thing to think about is matchups too, how teams match up. Remember how I talked about the Rams? They had played 2 deep safeties. They want to take away the vertical ball. That's how they're designed defensively, and they play those bare fronts. They want to stop the inside run on early downs. The 49ers run outside zone and jets and do all kinds of things that normal offenses don't do.
They're creative and innovative.
They're so
John?
creative and they're innovative. And and they do all kinds of things each game that you didn't see them do the last game. And they never throw deep. So the whole essence of how the Rams are built just doesn't match up with the 49ers. It's less, look at the 49ers. It's not about their talent. It's about their scheme. Their scheme just beats the Rams. And they only had, 23 points today. And I think they scored a defensive touchdown. It's not like they're out there killing the Rams. You know what I mean? But schematically, they know how to adjust each game and play different teams, even without talent. And so, yes, matchups matter, but also it's definitely on coaching to a degree.
You mentioned coaching and adjustments, and we saw Todd Bowles switch it up in the second half and go to Ross Cockrell against Tyreek Hill, and he did a better job, except for Hill's last catch, which moved the sticks on that critical pass play to, I think it was 3rd down, by Mahomes, and he was matched up against Carlton Davis, who that was not a good matchup from the start, right? I mean,
especially in off coverage.
Carlton Davis is a good cornerback who matches up really well against the Michael
bigger
Thomas
X receiver types.
Yes. This is a matchup that did not favor Carlton Davis at all. And maybe Jamel Dean would have been better suited against Tyreek Hill. His absence might have been really felt tonight. But the thing is the first touchdown, I mean, he gave up 10 yards and Tyreek Hill still blew by, not just Davis, but also I don't think that Antoine Winfield really realized how fast Tyreek Hill was, because he got pretty good depth and he got blown by too on that first touchdown. There just wasn't enough safety help over the top. And I think either Todd Bowles should have realized after that first touchdown, hey, we need to really mix this up and just double team Tyreek Hill. We'll take our chances with Kelsey and Demarcus Robinson and Sammy Watkins, but they didn't do that until Tyreek Hill had over 200 yards, and the Chiefs were up 17 points. So yeah, like I want to give Bowles some credit for switching things up and having a better showing in the second half. But the reality, John, is the Chiefs were up 17 points several times in this game. At no point was it a close game until the very end when the Bucs were down 3. And the reason I bring that up is because during those times, I think that it affected the play calling of Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy and also Steve Spagnuolo. I think the Chiefs could have just destroyed the Bucs if they really wanted to. I just think
about the missed opportunities they had in that game. I mean, even in the second half, you said, the scoring that wasn't there for the Chiefs, and that's true. But I mean, they have nobody within 20 yards of McCole Hardman for an 89-yard touchdown. He kind of drops it. Mahomes kind of and so it's in Mahomes tweets after the game. He's like, "How did I miss McCole?" Like, because he threw behind him a little bit. But I mean that. There's 34, and then think about the play. They had 3 holding penalties in a row. Yep. They're in Bucs territory, deep in Bucs territory. They have 3 holding penalties in a row to get them back out of there. And so there was some stuff that went in the Bucs' favor that honestly kept them in this game. But then I'll say on the other side of things, like if they don't drop the ball on the first couple of possessions, I mean, if Mike Evans catches that deep ball in their first possession, they're cooking. You know what I mean? Right. If Cameron Brate catches that, keeps the chains moving. I mean.
And we saw Chris Godwin make a hero play on 3rd and 15 with a diving catch on a bomb from Brady. So yeah, you're right. It's both sides need to really come together and help. And really in the first quarters where it has to happen. It's not just this offense can't convert third downs and they're not scoring. It's the defense too, not getting stops, not getting takeaways, not helping out the offense. And
I want your thoughts on this. But like, what do you think that this Bucs defense can get better this season? Like, do you think that this defense has hope to? I mean, at one point we were talking about them as maybe the best defense in the league. That feels so funny now to even mention. I mean, they have just been shredded, Scott. I mean, it's been every quarterback really since the Packers game, and I've talked about it before. But there were guys open in the Packers game, but the pressure got to Rodgers. So he was rattled. He was seeing ghosts a little bit. He's holding the ball too long.
Yes,
when he should have been releasing it.
They can get better, John, but it's the mentality. When you play soft zone, you're going to read and react.
I'm not sure they get better this season. I'm just being honest.
Well, I'm saying they can, but they need to play press man with greater regularity, and they need to bring some pressure. I liked how they had finally Shaq Barrett lining up on the right side, where he got 13 of his 19 and a half sacks. Was on the right side last year. Right. Jason Pierre-Paul, and you saw both of them get a sack. Shaq made an impactful sack fumble inside the red zone.
Great play, kind of play we've been waiting for him all year.
Yeah, that prevented the Chiefs from making it 20-0 or 24-0. So that was a great play. Sam Shear coming through with a huge super chat for us. Why did it take us till the second quarter to realize that Hill is faster than Davis needs up over the top? I'm 16. Look at the support from Sam Shear here. 16, and my dad got me on y'all, and I appreciate the good content over the years. Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
That's
Sam.
Awesome. I don't know why. This is a $10 super chat question. I feel bad, Sam, because we can't even really answer it. I have no idea why. They didn't really help out with the safety much throughout the entire game. It was crazy.
They really did.
If Carlton Davis has a knock, it's deep speed, and especially think about all the plays from him, the negative plays from him this season. They've almost all, remember the Darnell Mooney play against the Bears, where he gives up, off coverage, speedy guy, hits him with a route break, and he gets separation on him. That's Carlton Davis's bugaboo, especially in off coverage. Mm-hmm. And it's just like the Bucs don't even know it. And the self-scouting just has not been there. And so it is frustrating. The reason I say, Scott, I don't think that necessarily it's a talent issue for the Bucs defensively, although I am starting to worry about those other corners. I mean, Carlton, you got to put the scheme right for him to be at his best. And that matchup was a tough one. But the rest of the corners, I don't know, Scott. And so when I say I'm not sure this Bucs defense can be much better the rest of this season, I just don't think that I think their blitzes have been solved. Other teams have solved the blitzes for the most part. They still play, even though the 3 teams that they play left in the schedule, Atlanta twice, are not very good teams. They still play good quarterbacks. Matt Ryan, Kirk Cousins, Matt Stafford, so right now they are getting drilled by every quarterback on the schedule. I mean, Daniel Jones, the only reason he can throw for 400 is because he missed those wide open plays down the field. Right. And so how does this get better? Like, I don't think Todd Bowles is going to change. You talk to people in New York and like he never changed. Like,
I don't think he's going to change. He can, but I don't think he's going to. So you asked me, can they? I said, yeah, they can. But the thing is like Tony says here, where the hell is Devin White? Ever since the Release Me Packers game, he looks lost. I mean, the reality of it is Todd Bowles has Devin White playing more zone coverage. And as
he is blitzing him still too, but he's getting picked up because teams know what's coming.
Well, and I think the thing too is those blitzes have not been as effective. Now he did have a very good game against Las Vegas out there, but that was against a decimated Raiders offensive line.
And 2 of his sacks in that game came from him being in coverage.
Exactly.
At least 2 of them. He was in coverage and ran up.
And I think the thing is not having Vita Vea has really negated his blitzing presence, and he's easier to pick up because Vita would get more of a push and create more of an A-gap window for him to knife through. And we're not seeing that. Steve McClendon can't do that. He can't push the pocket. Neither can Nacho. They're okay against the run, but they just don't bring anything to the table against the pass. And I think that's where Devin White's been neutered a little bit is he doesn't have Vita Vea because those 2 guys could really work the A-gap very well. And how Vita would set his guy up, White would read off that and hit either the A weak or the A strong gap and become an effective blitzer. But right now he's being dropped in coverage a lot. He's not a very instinctive cover guy. He got 12 tackles tonight, but a lot of those it's wait for the receiver to catch the ball and make the tackle, and they weren't really impactful tackles. They made a couple of nice stops on Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the running game, but that's really about it.
Right. I bring this point full circle. I was surprised that Bruce said something after the game that he said, not because I think he's wrong at all. I was just surprised that he said it. He was asked if he's surprised that they're 7-5 right now. He said yes and no, and he said, I think defensively we've had our chances to be better. Offensively, it was going to be a work in progress all season. I think that our kicking game has been outstanding for us, which was a problem in the first game only. I've seen us get better throughout the season. We just got to win the next one and stay in this playoff hunt. Everybody tried to hand us the Lombardi Trophy in August. You don't just throw guys out there with names. You've got to practice and learn to get in sync with each other, and that takes time. I've got 2 points to make off of this, Scott. One, he definitely expected more from this defense this season, and that's the first time I've heard him say that. I think it's a fair assessment. I'm just surprised he said. I did not think he would say it. I guess I should always expect that because he's so blunt. Todd Bowles, I don't think he's on a hot seat or anything like that, but I definitely think Arians saying that is he hasn't been very critical of the defense. So I'm surprised to hear him say that.
143 yards.
Right.
They had
and it should have been way worse.
59-yard receiver. They had a 462-yard quarterback today. And when they needed to make the critical stops on they had I think the Chiefs converted 3 first downs on that final drive. So you have time after time after time to stop Mahomes. He beat you twice with his legs, once with his arm, in converting those third downs. I don't see stoppers on this team. And I'll tell you what, too. Ndamukong Suh, I think, has faded. He made some plays early in the year. We have not seen him. He made one nice run stuff to set up a 4th and short. But Ndamukong Suh just, he had 5 tackles, mostly in the running game. Okay, that's fine. Clyde Edwards-Helaire was not going to be the guy that was going to beat the Buccaneers. It was going to be Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. Those are the big 3. Edwards-Helaire is a nice piece, right? He's a nice piece that you can use as a runner and in the receiving game. Same with Le'Veon Bell. But Le'Veon Bell was not going to beat the Buccaneers. It was going to be Hill and Kelce and Mahomes. Hill, 269 yards. Kelce, 82 yards. Mahomes, 462 yards. And 28 yards rushing, including a nice 17-yard run in a play that Devin White looked lost. It was an option play to Edwards-Helaire, and both, I think it was it Carlton Davis?
Whitehead. It was Whitehead. Yeah, Whitehead had the pitch guy, and Whitehead
and Devin did too.
Devin didn't, but he thought he did, or he wanted to.
And the thing is on that play, if Devin White makes the correct read, he sticks Mahomes, doesn't pick up the first down, and probably, he's got a clean kill shot on the quarterback in the run game.
Yep. You just got to do your job. That's the thing with Devin White. I said it to you guys. I love hearing him talk. I love his energy. I love what he has to say. I'm sure he's a great vocal leader. I think he has all the potential in the world, but it just is not happening on the field for him right now. Not in coverage. His reads are too inconsistent defensively. And yeah, like I said at the beginning of the season, he's a great blitzer, but the reality is that's just like the least important thing for a linebacker. Like the chances to make an impact on those plays are few and far between compared to the other roles that you have as a linebacker. And that as the season's gone on, that's become more and more clear. But the other point I want to make about what Bruce Arians said here, Scott, is that he's talking about this offense. Offensive is going to be work in progress all season. And I've heard him say, I don't know, remember if it was to us or if it was on Sirius or where it was exactly, but he said that he just did not think he said, oh, it was after the game, I think, or before a game, maybe. He said it was one of their nationally televised games at night. He was talking to the sideline reporter. I forget who it was. And he said, I don't know if we'll hit our peak this season. It may not be till next season that we hit our peak as an offense. And nobody really, it was pregame. And yeah. And so I don't think necessarily that they will hit their peak next season. We have a long time to go before we're ready to discuss next season. I'm focused on this season, but I think he's right in some ways about like, you can't just, I think people expected analysts and fans, to be honest, if we're being honest about analysts, they expected them to be able to throw out all this talent on the field and be able to be this great offense. But I also think the fact that they aren't better than they are with all that talent right now is because Bruce Arians has not adjusted this offense nearly well enough as he should. And I think he's saying that as like it just takes time type of thing. But buddy, it's week 12. Like you should be more competent than this offensively. You should be able to string drives together, sustain offense better than this. I mean, it's not this hard. And the thing about Bruce Arians' offense that has always been true and that I've always kind of said is that he just makes it so hard, like on a consistent basis. And you heard Tony Romo, God bless him, he was unbelievable today on the broadcast.
I heard he was preaching. I was at the stadium, so I didn't hear the broadcast, but he was preaching, wasn't he?
He was tremendous, Scott. And because he wasn't saying just what everybody else says, about the situations of the games, and he was saying specifically, here's what the problems are, and here's how they need to get better. And he's saying, like, on the third downs and shorts, like, why every time the Chiefs sent extra pressure, it was vertical routes, and they're trying to take shots. It's really hard to hit these shots in clean pockets. When you're getting hit, it's just not sustainable long term.
This goes to what Mylan Thompson's saying here. The Chiefs are bad against the run, and what did the Buccaneer coaches decide to do? Pass all game vertical passes. And, you're right. You've brought this up before. Sometimes Bruce wants the 17-point pass play, right? You're down 17-0. You want the deep shot. You're impatient. And it's low percentage, high risk plays that get this team into trouble. And when you hit him, it's great. Like, right, the Godwin play, when you throw that 3rd and 15 and you hit it, that's awesome. When you hit the Gronk 48-yarder, that's great. On 4th down, Mike Evans comes through with the touchdown catch. Down the right sidelines, it's great, and it kind of like gives you this false sense of security. Like, we can do this whenever we want, but you can't.
Right?
You can't.
It's just
and you don't do it enough. And I think where this bye week has hurt the Buccaneers, and I heard Bruce say after the game that they do self scouting every week, and so they don't need to like self scout this week. No, you do. And you should, because you're not going to have the players there. You should be studying the hell out of what you're doing. And listen, I don't care what he said. I don't believe it, because you do have a bye week for that purpose, to go back and sit down with the staff. There's no game to plan for, right? There's no players in the building. There's no meetings to have. And it's the time to sit there and make those adjustments and say, we're doing this, and we're not, we're banging our head against the wall, and it's not working. And I wonder if the bye week had been 2 or 3 weeks earlier, if they would have fared better against the Rams or the Chiefs and made some of these things. So I think this is where the bye week hurts the Buccaneers. The fact that it's the latest one they've ever had. It's the last one of the year, right? And maybe looking for a positive, Bucs fans, maybe they get their act together. I want to use a different word, but I won't. Their act together and it can really go 3-1 or 4-0 down the stretch. I don't think it's going to happen, though. I think that they're going 2-2. I said in my original predictions 10-6. I think that they can get 3 more wins. I said 2-2. I meant 3-1. I think they can go 3-1. That would get them to 10-6. I don't know where the loss is.
10-6 is the worst that they should be. There's no question. They should win these next 3 games. As much as we've talked about the quarterbacks that they face, the defenses that they're about to face are bottom of the league type of defenses. So you have to be able to be successful in those situations. And that's why I say offense has to carry this team the last month, because I just don't think the defense is getting that much better, Scott. I think that this is kind of, you'd hope that they're opportunistic still. I was encouraged some by the pass rush today. There's some weak offensive lines definitely left on the schedule, so I'm encouraged by that. But the reality of this team, Scott, and to continue the point that I was making about this offense, is it just makes things too hard in certain situations. Romo did a great job of pointing out how erratic the Bucs are in hot read situations. So extra pressure's coming. Brady is expecting something and receivers just look lost. I mentioned the Antonio Brown play. I know that Brady, I would say he poorly placed the ball on the interception that went off the player's helmet. It's kind of an unlucky bounce that ended up being picked. But again, on the hot, Evans is just continuing to kind of drift down the field, doesn't really understand what he's supposed to be doing there. Again, it's like you have to know these things going into the game. This is coaching. These are attention to details that Kansas City has down perfectly in a way more complex offense. And so I think that it's just one of those things that until they start making those easy plays, those are the plays that everybody wants to talk about. The Bucs are X amount of big plays. They hit a bunch of big plays in this game. They had the one drop by Evans, but they still came back and hit a bunch of deep plays down the field. That the way that they were going in the beginning of the season may have been a little bit unsustainable, but so was the way that it was the last couple games. They were going to start hitting the big plays again, and Brady threw it really beautifully in this game. But the problem is they rely so much on it in those situations. They don't have those hots always built in. So the Scottie Miller interception, for example, extra pressure. Brady sees it pre-snap. He knows where he's going, and he should. He's predetermined. One-on-one coverage with Scottie Miller on the outside. The problem is you can't get off a good throw if they time the snap out. You're getting hit right away. And Rojo blowing the protection didn't help him either. He's getting hit from 2 angles as he makes that low percentage throw from a clean pocket, let alone, and then of course it gets intercepted. And so it's like, okay, I'm not saying that Brady made the best throw in that situation, but look at the process. And this is why people are like, oh, you're never going to criticize Brady for this, or oh, Romo didn't criticize Brady. He's not criticizing Brady because there's a bigger issue than Brady's throw. There's a process that's creating a situation where a bad throw is more likely. And this is kind of like the essence of Arians' offense. It makes bad throws, turnovers, and sacks more likely because of the nature of the offense. When extra pressure comes, he wants to go down the field. It's just, you might hit one, and Brady made a couple unbelievable. I mean, the throw to Godwin was one of the best throws you'll see by a quarterback all season. It was just unbelievable.
It was a fantastic catch by Godwin, too.
But when you look at the large picture, how consistent is that approach and how sustainable is that approach? I just don't think you can do it every time the Chiefs sent extra pressure, almost every time they threw deep. I mean, it's just because everybody's going vertical in this situation.
It got to the point, there were a couple times where Spagnuolo just called off the dogs. He could have continued that every single down. And probably the Chiefs win this game by 17 points or more. It just got to the point where it's like, well, the only enemy is the clock. Really, we have this lead, and we're gonna dial it back a little bit so they don't hit some big plays, because the Bucs did hit some big plays in the second half. The Godwin catch, the Gronkowski catch, the Evans catch for the touchdown, as you both touchdowns. So, I listen. I think one of the things too is we're having a lot of Rojo love tonight, and I appreciate that, because I thought Rojo had a great game.
He played awesome. He played awesome.
And a lot of them are like, why do they stop, feeding Rojo? Well, the problem is you're down 17-0. Right. And yes, he had a fantastic 37-yard touchdown catch, which was a great catch and run individual effort. And, he was targeted twice, caught the ball once. Leonard Fournette, 3 of 3, John. The problem is he only caught those 3 passes for 10 yards, which is consistent with his lack of yak after making the catch. But the thing is when you're down by that many yards, Ronald Jones averaged 7.3 yards per rush. He had a 34-yard run, ended with 9 carries for 66 yards. You'd like to feed him the rock more. The Chiefs' run defense was the most suspect unit on the field. Their linebackers are I don't want to say trash, but they're average at best. Yeah. And you couldn't play to that advantage because you can't convert a third down. You can't stop touchdowns in the first quarter, and you're down 17-0 before you know it.
Right. It's that's the thing, because I know people are going to say, oh, I can't believe they abandoned the run. I want them to run the ball more. And, they did run it well, and the Chiefs are actually designed so that you can run it. But again, it comes back to exactly what you said, Scott. When you're down in a game like that to Patrick Mahomes, you know that you've got to score. And so it becomes tough to stick with any approach that isn't max aggression, because once you've spotted him 17, you have to make every drive pretty much count in order to be successful. It's very rare that you'd even end up in a situation like this where you could get back in a game with as incomplete as the Bucs were on offense. So I understand the Bucs approach. I understand why fans are frustrated. 9 carries when you're averaging over 7 yards a carry, and they were running it well. And I've been critical of Rojo, and deservedly so. I mean, I'm not throwing out the big picture here
he played
because
I'm
praising him for one game, but he played great in this game. And it was, he caught the pass, Scott, and he just hit the gas. He just ran straight fast. I don't understand.
Made a couple guys
why
miss.
That's so hard.
Got a touchdown. I know.
When he didn't hesitate, when he saw a guy coming, I was like, what? It was amazing to me. And he scored. I just don't get it.
Here's a couple of things that I want to point out real quick about the Bucs offense that really kind of gnawed on me a little bit. And I asked Bruce Arians the final question, I believe, of the press conference about why didn't he use the timeouts in the first half, at the end of the first half. I thought he used them early, which you want to do because you got the 2-minute warning, and really time is of the essence when you are trying to get those 10 points to tie the game. They got the touchdown, and I thought he did a good job of using those early. And the thing is I asked him, why didn't he use the timeouts? Because by the time the Chiefs kicked the field goal right before halftime to go up 20-10, they had 11 seconds left on the clock, and they had 3 timeouts. And I hate when coaches go into halftime, unless you got a big lead, with any timeouts, much less 3. But I asked Bruce, why didn't he call some of those timeouts early on? And he says, well, there's no way I'm giving, Patrick Mahomes any more time. Okay, the problem is the Chiefs still scored.
Right. Yeah, that didn't make sense.
Yeah, once they get to the 30-40 yard line, if they're going to score, they're going to score, right?
Yeah, I didn't
They're
understand.
going to score a touchdown or a field goal. So they scored the field goal. Well, the timeouts have nothing to do whether you're going to hold them to a field goal or a touchdown, right?
Right. It
wasn't like the Chiefs had to kick the field goal because they didn't have time. No, they kicked the field goal because you stopped them and it was 4th down. But the problem is this is a game where every possession against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs is precious, and you wasted one because I would have rather seen the Buccaneers have 45 seconds left and no timeouts than 11 seconds and 3 timeouts left, right? Because if you got a kicker who's money and Ryan Suckup. If you can sit there and trade field goals and only be down 7 points, guess what? That field goal that you needed at the end of the game, you could have got maybe at the end of the first half if you're more creative with your timeout and clock management. I think the other thing, John, and you mentioned this in our group text, our Pewter Report group text, the play calling. Gronkowski opens up the second half, gets you a 48-yard gain down to the 4-yard line. They end up losing yards and settling for a field goal inside of their 10-yard line, right? And boy, don't you think those 4 points that they missed out on could have been beneficial, John, right?
Based on the final score, Scott, my analysis is yes, they would have been beneficial in a game that they lost by 3. But no, I wrote about this. This was the game changer moment to me, and there are positive things to say about this offense, and I will say them in a second. But that was the game changer moment to me. Was you come out, you had scored your last possession of the first half. You look like you were getting a rhythm. They come out, right down the field, running the ball well, throwing the ball well. Big play to Gronkowski. Haven't hit that over route in a couple weeks after torching Green Bay and Las Vegas with it. Come back, you hit that route, and it looks like they're cruising. They're down at the 5-yard line. And then, Fournette, I just don't understand, man. This offense is more talented than any team in the league, basically, and they just continue to utilize Fournette.
In the end zone.
I went back and looked at it. In fact, I think I can pull it up here for people to see. But he really isn't open until I think the linebacker stops when he sees Fournette get the ball. And I think and then Gronkowski keeps running. And so I think that's kind of maybe what made people think that he was maybe a little bit open on that play. And maybe, with the leverage, Here it is with the leverage of Gronkowski, coming across the defender's kind of right there. Maybe it maybe if a perfect throw kind of opens it up, but again, it's like one of those Romo said on the broadcast. It's the
thing where you pump fake, right? I mean, you pump fake
pump it
to Fournette and keep that defender up, and then Gronk is just running wide open towards the back of the end zone there.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things too that Romo said on the broadcast. He said the problem is they don't run the play. That's the first time I think the Bucs have run that play all season. And so when you don't run it, you're going your first read when you're running it, and then you're looking at how defenses adjust, and then you're looking at where your second and third reads could be on a play like that. And so there's a lot of factors to it. But bottom line, I mean, it's a design play to go to Leonard Fournette. He's your first read. That's where you want to go on that play. Like the whole motion is designed to pull people away from Leonard Fournette. And I just don't understand why. Like he doesn't do anything when he gets the ball. So even if the Chiefs hadn't read it perfectly, which they did, and credit to them, it's just curious.
Who else hasn't done anything when he catches the ball is Antonio Brown. Midmaster Toy Museum, 1979. Antonio Brown has to be a bigger factor in the game plan moving forward. I disagree.
Yeah.
I would rather see more Mike Evans, more Chris Godwin, more Rob Gronkowski, more Scottie Miller.
He wasn't a big factor today either. Like they didn't use him, Antonio Brown, very much today. It was a big
11 yards.
Yeah, big Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski day, and the offense looked pretty good as a result. Now, I'm like balanced between you and
the first quarter, John.
And mid, right? That's right. After the first quarter, everything good is after the first quarter. Just
with this team, yes.
All-time asterisks, with this team in general. Yeah. Mid-Master Toy Museum, when he's saying that about AB, I don't know that I don't think AB is necessarily like the guy holding the team back or anything, but I do think that you're right, Scott, in that I think there's been a problem with the cohesiveness of the offense. I don't think it's necessarily, I'm not like blaming Antonio Brown. Right. I just think that the reality of plugging a guy into an offense that is frankly not a simple offense, this quickly, you know what I mean, is just tough. Like he's just not there. There's been mistakes in every game. And so I've written about most of them. And so I just think it's asking a lot of a guy. And I think that at this point, I'm not sure that he knows the offense as well as the snap counts warrant. And so, that's something to consider. I don't think it's like the biggest thing. I just think it's something to consider. Like you said, Scottie, you might need more touches.
We got Raymond P disagreeing with me here. Give me a break, Scott Miller, not a big factor. He hasn't been a big factor in this offense over the past month.
He was their leading receiver going into
leading receiver
going into the Saints game.
Yes, and he still has, despite it being an afterthought in this offense, 414 yards. He's got the best receiving average on this team, 15.3. Mike Evans only at 12.5. Gronkowski only at 12.9. He's got 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, it's difficult to think of how Scottie Miller could have been better over the first half of the season, given the reality of who he is and his skills. I just don't know that he could have been much better than you. I think he was huge for this team with Evans playing. I mean, Evans wasn't really himself until about the Giants game, probably. So, in Godwin, Godwin played half the games, and most of those he was banged up and not 100%. And so Scottie, who was playing hurt, playing as well as he did, I think he was one of the more valuable players in the team through the first half of the season. And now he's not a factor at all. I mean, he barely even plays and barely touches the ball. It's curious. There's no doubt about it. Again, what I said about Antonio Brown at the time, I go in the chat of the podcast that I did solo the night they signed Antonio Brown. And people were saying like, oh, give me a break. Like Antonio Brown, clearly better than Scottie Miller. This isn't a hard concept. It gets a lot harder when you recognize nuance in these things. It's not as simple as Antonio Brown is better at football than Scottie Miller. Does Antonio Brown know the offense? What's his role in the offense? How does it open things up for other people? What's his chemistry with Tom Brady? The timing. It's just different. It's not as simple as people think it is. You just slap a bunch of talented players on one side of the field. And it's especially not that easy when the coaching isn't as good as it should be. The attention to detail isn't as good as it should be. Then the scheme hasn't adjusted to make things easier for everybody involved. Right. I think that's part of the problem right now for the Bucs.
And I think the thing too is we have to point out, I mean, Antonio Brown is 32 and he hasn't played football really since the 2018 season. And I haven't seen anything that makes me believe that he is a superstar Pro Bowl caliber receiver that he was a couple years ago.
Well, I mean, I think he still makes great catches. I mean, he's still made tough catches and he's made tough plays after the catch. I mean, he knows how to get vertical, and he knows how to, I think he can be elusive and those things. The Bucs offense doesn't scheme players into space very well. So it's a weird fit for him. I mean, he's been open vertically too. It's just a matter of getting on the same page with Brady. And, we mentioned the Panthers game, everybody talks about that miss. Well, I wrote about it. I mean, AB just flattens out that route way too much. I talked to Mark Schofield about it.
Yeah.
Right. And Schofield's going to be on the podcast, by the way. He's studied Tom Brady's entire career, big Patriots guy, big quarterback guru. Yeah, he's going to be on the podcast this week, I think Wednesday, and he's going to break it all down. He's going to talk about the fit of Arians and Brady. That's going to be a great show. He's watched Brady, every snap of Brady for years, and so he knows everything about the guy. He knows that Bruce Arians' offense extremely well. So it's going to be a very enlightening show. And I think we might have some other guests to discuss it too. So by the end of this week, Bucs fans, you are going to know everything you need to know about offense and scheme and fits and how the players are working together offensively between Mark and some of the other guests we have lined up. We are going to hit this thing full bore going into this bye week. Right. So make sure you subscribe over on YouTube, Pewter Report Podcast. Hit that subscribe button, hit the bell. I think we're so close, or we're a couple subscribers away from 2,000, which would be a huge mark for us, and we start marching toward 3,000. So hit that subscribe button, hit that bell to get the notifications, because we've got some good shows coming your way this week that's going to break all this down. But yeah, I think that, there is so many things about this offense that look so good, and they did some great things in this game, Scott. I give Leftwich crap about the bad stuff, but the reality is there's good stuff too in this game. They've used some play action, and they hit big plays off of it, and they used it when they were down 17 points, and the threat of run wasn't, big deal, whatever, because it works anyway. And they know that, even if they don't want to say it to the media. And so they dial up the big plays, and they got big plays off of that. I think Brady made a bunch of really good plays under pressure, especially considering how often the Chiefs sent it and how the routes are just not advantageous for him. And he still made a couple great throws. The dime to Evans early in the game as he's hit, the dime to Godwin later in the game. I just think he made some great plays under pressure. And the other thing about Brady in this game that I loved, I didn't think that the mistakes, the turnovers, which I think there's layers to it, but the mistakes and even the inconsistency with the offense didn't seem to frustrate him like it has in the primetime games. Like, he didn't unravel under the pressure. And I thought he got just kind of pissed in a couple of their games recently.
I'm with you. And John, this was 17-0, right? This could have been 24-0, 31. It could have been the Saints game all over again. And to the Tampa Bay's credit, it wasn't. This team showed fight and resolve. I think that bears saying. We don't want to completely piss on the Buccaneers all night, but the thing is this team showed a ton of resolve. And they made some adjustments, and it was too late to dig out of a 17-0 hole against the defending Super Bowl champions. But it would have been curious to see what Brady could have done with a minute left and maybe 60 yards to go. Right? Could he have gotten them into suck up territory? Would it have tied the game, gone overtime? I'm not saying they would have won. It would have been interesting if the Bucs defense had gotten a stop, if they had figured out enough stuff on offense, or would have Steve Spagnuolo just brought the house again and forced Brady into another interception like we saw last week against the Rams? We'll never know, but a lot of fight and resolve to claw back into this game, and really after that 17-0 hole, only allow a high potent offense like Kansas City just 10 points. We had a question there along with a $1 super chat from Pelagic and Pewter. Are we seeing a bust class from Jason Light from the 2019 class? I don't think it's a bust class. I just thought that with all the playing time that Devin White and Sean Murphy-Bunting and Jamel Dean and Mike Edwards had, and even Anthony Nelson, that those guys would have been further along this year into their second year, right? And maybe it's year three. Carlton Davis, his second year was similar to the first, always about this far away from making a play. Only had one interception his first 2 years, then really blossoms this year and becomes a hell of a cornerback. Today was the exception just because it was not a good matchup at all. But I expected a little bit more development from Mike Edwards, from Jamel Dean, who didn't play obviously with the concussion, from Sean Murphy-Bunting, who is kind of plateaued at best, if not taking a bit of a downward spiral, not spiral, a nosedive is what I'm looking for. And Anthony Nelson, who I know that you're a huge fan of, John, because of his pass rushing prowess.
Oh my gosh. And I don't even blame Anthony Nelson. Like, he just is what he is. And, I could have told you that coming out, and the Bucs should have known that going into this year. And, it's a position they didn't address enough. And I wrote about it going into the year. It's the weakest spot on this team. They don't have a third pass rusher. It's going to hurt them when they got to go into, long down and distance situations, and they could get, more pass rushers on the field. And then when Vea got hurt, it was kind of like a depth thing. And so, yeah, I mean, there's a lot, Scott, to what you're saying. That 2019 class is still kind of up in the air. I mean, I'll be honest, I am just so frustrated with Devin White. He just should be better than he is. And he talks such a great game. And like, I know he studies and I know he works hard, and I'll never question any of that stuff with him. But the reality, Scott, is that he just wasn't very good today. And he hasn't been good enough for most of the season. There's splash plays here and there, but consistency is just not there with him. And I'm not saying he's a bust or anything like that yet. Like, we got to wait. This guy's too many splash plays to say anything, too many flashy plays and moments to say that. But
if we're being honest too, Levante David was rather pedestrian today with 8 tackles.
I mean, he just missed tackles. I don't, the last couple of weeks with him, I don't know, missed tackles. I mean, we don't, I'm not above, criticizing anybody. I blasted Brady last week. Probably everybody at some point in the team. I was tweeting today, I just think Mike Evans has to be way better than he was in this game. I thought he dropped a couple passes, and, I thought, we want to see him in contested catch situations. He gets a shot, and he just looked like he totally mistracked the ball and mistimed his jump. And again, so it's just, those, you don't want to criticize Mike Evans, Levante David. No fan does. Those are their guys. Those are the guys that have carried
high effort guys.
The Bucs, too.
That's the thing, right? I mean, they care. They're not slackers. I mean,
but they didn't play their best football today in a huge game. And so if we're going to, blast other guys for their mistakes, we got to say that about them too. Like, they both played poorly today, I thought, considering what they could be. We got
Garvey here with 17-0. Speak on that. That's the problem. You're right. If you missed the first part of the podcast, really quickly, 15-7, the Bucs have been outscored in the last 4 games in the first quarter. If you go back to the Giants game, they've been outscored 59-10 in the last 5 games. So that's a big problem. And against good teams, again, New Orleans, the LA Rams, the Kansas City Chiefs, you're not going to come back. You're not going to dig yourself out of that hole and come back. Against the Panthers, against the Giants, lesser teams, you can, But and the problem is the Bucs are a good team, not a great team. And they're playing some very good to / great teams, and they're just not doing enough to win. And that's typical of a good team. A good team, if a good team wants to be a great team, either the great team has to not show up and bring its A game, right? And has to play at that C level, and then your B level team beats the C, or you got to, play above yourself, play above your abilities as a B team and really play like an A team and hope that the other team makes some mistakes. And, we just didn't see that. At the end of the day, too, the turnover margin, John, just 2-0. And that was key.
Mm-hmm.
Mahomes had 1 interception, but it was negated with a JPP, pick, or I should say the roughing the passer call. It was somewhat questionable. I thought he hit his shoulder to a degree, but the refs they're gonna call that, and we saw Frank Clark get 2 of those. So it's just bad, guys. We love the super chats. Thank you. Keep them coming tonight. We're working on the budget for Mark Camera's webcam. You guys are putting a big dent in that, which is fantastic. Animal, what's up, Joe? How much of the play is due to not having a bye till now? 11 consecutive weeks. Actually, it's 12 weeks of football. It does take a toll, right? Yeah, I think the one thing too. This was a Buccaneer team that is also coming off of a short week, John. Right? I mean, they just played on Monday, right? So that is part of it too. And then I think that having all of those consecutive weeks, the one thing that I want to mention about the bye week that I thought Bruce Arians really pointed out that I didn't really think of, but a lot of teams during the bye week, when they get back into the building, they bring COVID with them, and all of a sudden they get some players missing. What do the Buccaneers have had? Jaden Mickens, right, this year with COVID, and Kenyon Barner, right, who was on injured reserve anyways, but they haven't had any starters miss any time due to COVID. The Buccaneers have been probably the model franchise when it comes to COVID protocols and not having guys that have missed time due to COVID. Look at the Baltimore Ravens. They were supposed to play on Thursday, John. Then they're supposed to play today. They're having to play on Tuesday. Right. And the Denver Broncos played today with no quarterbacks. So it's a huge factor. And so you have to hope and pray that the Buccaneers are smart during the bye week. And when they get back, it's all business against the Minnesota Vikings with everyone on the roster healthy and COVID free.
Right. It's, man, I mean, we're getting to that point where we got to get our game balls out here too. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. This is team. I'm not saying that they're going to make a Super Bowl. I don't know that yet, but I know that the Chiefs and the Rams, and I know the Rams lost today, and every good team pretty much in the league, especially in the NFC, has lost one that they shouldn't lose this year. It's just the way it's gone in the NFC, and that's why I'm saying, like, I know the Bucs have their issues, but everybody does. Like every week we say, oh, the Packers, the Packers are crushing the Bears as we speak. Oh, the Packers look like the best team. I mean, like the Saints, the Saints, what I mean? The Saints are out there putting up 31 points without throwing they threw for like 70 yards today. I mean, 31 points on Vic Fangio's defense. I know the Broncos are totally banged up, but just ridiculous. I mean, I don't even, again, what separates the Bucs and the other teams in the NFC right now, in my opinion, is coaching. I just think schematically other teams are just further ahead than where the Bucs are. But the Bucs do have talent, and talent matters in one game situations.
That's right.
Like, that stuff can really matter. And so let's get to our game balls, though, because we got to get to our game balls and then talk a little bit about the outlook for the season right now.
And right now, John, before we get to the game balls, we're going to talk about balls, right? I mean, football's back.
Oh, yes.
And that means it's time to throw you on your team's favorite colors and make sure you don't fumble your grooming below the waist, if you know what I mean. Our partners at Manscaped are here to save your boys from a big hit, so you stay clean and take care of yourself where it matters most. Manscaped is here with a surefire touchdown with the best tools for your grooming experience. And John, it's just in time for the holidays. What am I talking about? I'm talking about this bad boy right here. It's the Manscaped redesigned electric trimmer. It's the Lawnmower 3.0, John. And the best part about this is you got one too. Yep.
I know Mark thinks it's weird that we keep him at our desk, but it's just for the show. I promise everyone.
Exactly.
Just for the show.
We take our business in the bathroom, but we bring these out here and check this out too. It's got a light, so you can see what you're doing down there. It's very important. And so Manscaped, their engineering team, has spent 18 months perfecting the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created and just released the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0. It's simply the best hygiene tool for the modern man. Because of the ceramic blade and skin-safe technology, your snags are going to be reduced. Now, here's the cool thing. Their Perfect Package 3.0 comes with the new improved lawnmower. It's waterproof. You can do it in the shower, cordless body trimmer, performance boxer briefs that I love. They're fantastic. They're comfortable. In this travel bag right here, so you can have all of your Manscaped products, on the go. So when you're traveling for the holiday season, everything goes right here in the Manscaped bag. It makes a great gift. And you get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code Pewter at manscaped.com. So go to manscaped.com and put in Pewter, 20% off, free shipping. It makes a great gift for yourself, for your dad, for your brother, for your college roommate, for your best friend, for your uncle, whoever you want it to give this to. It's a fantastic gift. It's the gift that keeps on giving. And not only does it come with the Lawnmower 3.0, it also comes with a couple of other goodies, such as the Preserver right here. This is the Preserver. It's ball deodorant. Okay. The other thing that comes with is the Ball Reviver right here. This is the ball toner. So great Manscaped products for you, for your loved ones. And the best part about it is, okay, fine, we're going to throw something else in there. How about this? Pewter Report t-shirt right here. We got them in white, gray, and black. And to get this, so here's the thing. Get Manscaped for yourself. Or if you want to send it as a gift, that's awesome. But you want this t-shirt for yourself, don't you? Of course you do.
Oh, yeah.
So all you got to do is place your order at Manscaped. Email me your emailed copy of your receipt. The great thing is it has none of your financial information. I don't want it, don't need it. None of that is on your email receipt. Email that to me at sr@pewterreport.com, and I'm going to email you back saying what color t-shirt you want and what your size is, and we'll send that to you. All you got to do is again, email me your receipt from Manscaped showing us that you made the purchase by using the promo code Pewter. You're going to get the Pewter Report t-shirt. So you win, and you get a great gift for yourself or for a loved one this holiday season. Manscaped.com. Use the promo code Pewter, 20% off and free shipping.
All right, Scott, it's game balls time. We got to come up with some winners from this game. A little bit easier than it was a week ago. A little bit easier than it was against the Saints game, looking at the Bucs' last 3 losses. I mean, there are good things about this game, but I mean, offensively for me, Scott, I got to go with Rob Gronkowski. There were a bunch of guys that could shout out in this game, but what Rob Gronkowski is doing is totally flying under the national radar. And he had the bad game against the Saints where he dropped a couple passes. And early in the year, everybody's like, look at Rob Gronkowski, and they're laughing at him. But Rob Gronkowski had 106 yards receiving today. He made some huge catches down the seam, couple 20-plus yarders. He had a great game. He has been just huge for this Bucs team. I mean, the blocking is one thing, but Rob Gronkowski has 37 catches for 505 yards this season, Scott. In the NFL this year with 4 games to go, I mean, he's going to be maybe the second-ranked tight end in receiving yards in the league. Rob Gronkowski, the way people laughed at him over the first couple weeks of the season, has just been great for this Bucs team. And we mentioned the touchdowns, and he said he hasn't had one of those in a few weeks, unless I'm remembering wrong. But I mean, overall, it's been a welcome sight to see Gronk being able to make plays like this in this offense, to get vertical. Again, everybody's like, he can't run. He runs a 6-second 40. I don't know, man. Like, seems like he's showing up pretty well in that area to me. I don't have an issue with Gronkowski's speed. He's making plays vertically. He's averaging almost 14 yards a catch this season. I think he's been huge for this Bucs offense, and he was huge for them today. So he gets my offensive game ball. Okay. Defensively, tougher to find one. I'm going to have to I know who you want to shout out. So I'm going to go with Shaq Barrett. I think I know who you want to shout out. I'm going to go with Shaq Barrett just because I thought he had his best game of the season. Not only the strip sack, I just thought he was more of a factor in this game than he'd been all season long. I cannot stand the neutral zone infractions. How this team is so undisciplined drives me absolutely bonkers. I mean, after the Rams game, when you gave him 2 first downs, that should never be an issue. I appreciate Shaq Barrett after the game. He really owns it, man. He owns it. Like, he's just so honest, and I like that about him. But he was like, they asked him about the jumping off sides and if it's frustrating for him. He was like, honestly, it's always been a problem for me, and it's really frustrating that it's still a problem for me. He's like, well, I just harp on him, practice, and get in the game and blow it. So I appreciate the self-scouting, but don't do it anymore. But also, he was good in this game. I mean, he really put a lot of pressure on Mahomes in this game. He did everything he could. I thought the defensive line was, honestly, for the most part in the game, a pleasant surprise. You just can't, like, Mahomes just makes plays under pressure and out of structure that are hard to even be believed. I mean, he's just unbelievable.
Mobile in the pocket. He can pick up yards on scramble plays, which he did a couple times tonight in key situations. I definitely and I'll start there too. I don't know who you thought I was going to pick, but I think Shaq Barrett's going to get my game ball as well.
I thought you were going to go JPP maybe.
Well, listen,
he had a good game too.
I like having those guys where they are. And I asked Shaq after the game, I said, was this a coach's decision, or did you and JPP say, let's switch sides? Again, it's like Shaq Barrett. I mean, I feel bad for the guy, but he had most of his production going up against left tackles one-on-one last year. He had 19.5 sacks and 6 forced fumbles, John. And, for whatever reason, he's saddled to having to go up against right tackles and face a lot more double teams with tight ends. And not just that, he's also he's in the quarterback's line of view, right? He's in the line of fire. Quarterback's going to see him coming off that right, or coming off the left side, I should say, easier than the blind side. And what did we see tonight? They switched it up. And I asked Shaq why they did that, and he said that Larry Foote, their linebackers coach, liked the matchups better. And I hope, honestly, that it sticks. I hope it sticks, because I think Shaq Barrett does his best work with his first step. And I'm with you. I don't like to see those neutral zone infractions. But John, we saw him with that blind side hit fumble that prevented a scoring opportunity for Kansas City and ignited the Bucs offense, gave them a spark. They went down and got the touchdown there. So Jason Pierre-Paul also got a sack from that side. And I like that. I want to see more of that going forward. Offensively, I like your pick about Rob Gronkowski. I'm going to switch it up, though. Chris Godwin still has pins in his finger. And, you mentioned Mike Evans. Listen, 3 catches, 50 yards, 2 touchdowns, right? Those were big scores for sure, but with 9 targets, right? And we saw Mike, struggle to catch some of those passes. Chris Godwin, on the other hand, 8 catches on 9 targets, 97 yards today, and 44-yard play on 3rd and 15, which I thought was just an amazing catch. He was well covered. Great ball by Tom Brady, and just a hero play by Chris Godwin, selling out, diving for it, making sure the ball didn't hit the ground. So yeah, I'm going to have to go with Godwin and Barrett for my game balls. And
look at this. We have a chat from Pewter Report. I think this is Mark watching the show. Maybe Mark says, "Dudes, Donovan Smith playing on one leg. I've beaten him up as much or more than anyone." Yeah, that's got to be Mark.
Yep.
But he's a warrior. Yeah, great point. I mean, Donovan Smith. I wish Bucs fans understood. I try to point it out on tape. I wish Bucs fans understood how tough Donovan Smith is and how nasty he plays. For some reason, I think it's because his reps look sloppy at times. And I've said his technique can get away from him, but this guy is an absolute warrior, and he is tough, and he finishes as often as he can. And I know his tape leaves something to be desired at times. I know his technique can get sloppy. I've talked about that. I've been honest about that, but I don't like throwing out everything about a player because they make a couple of bad plays. I'm against that. We can have a discussion about whether Donovan Smith deserves the money he's going to be paid next year. We can talk about that for sure. Like, that's a valid conversation. But this ragging on every time Donovan Smith gives up a sack or gives up a pressure when he might play great, 50 out of 53 snaps in a game. We only talk about the negative with him. And I think we got to normalize talking more about the positives with him, because he's done a lot of really good things, and he has developed a lot since he's been in the league. And somebody is going to pay him to be a starting left tackle in the NFL, because the reality is he's better than about half the league. That's just the way that it is in this position. So I think it warrants a lot of consideration, his play. And I thought he hung in there tough in a game where he was not at 100%.
I think George Rivera, as my closing comment, I think George Rivera is right on the money here. The $14 million needs to go to Godwin, not Donovan Smith. And the reason why I agree with that is because next year the salary cap is going way down, and the Bucs and every team are going to have to make some really tough decisions. And at $14.25 million, I just don't know if they're going to get, if they're going to give that to Donovan Smith next year. It's not guaranteed. This is the final year of his guaranteed money. They have to re-sign Chris Godwin. Where's the money going to come from? A lot of guys on this team right now, John, that are set to be free agents next year. Chris Godwin, Levante David, Shaq Barrett, Ndamukong Suh, Levante David. There's a lot of star power that is not under contract in 2021, and they're going to have to make some cuts somewhere.
I don't think it's going to be as hard as some people think. I don't think it's going to be that bad. I mean, you're right. I mean, you have to replace Ndamukong Suh, but I don't think Ndamukong Suh is like, they don't have anybody in the roster. He's not irreplaceable right now. Right.
Yeah.
And there's some guys that are, like AB and some of those guys, I'm like, yeah, I think it's fine, but I think you're right. Like Godwin and David have to be back. Those are the priorities. Yeah. And I think, but if you can find a way to keep Donovan Smith and pay him, I would, it's just hard. Everybody's like, switch Tristan Wirfs to the left side. And we have plenty of time to talk about this in the bye week, but I think it's harder than people think to move sides. Tristan Wirfs has always been better at the right side at Iowa. Maybe he's great on the left side, but I don't know that it even matters. He faces better pass rushers. He's faced tougher pass rushers this season on the right side than Donovan Smith has. I'm glad he's on the right side.
Yeah.
That's where I want him, to be honest. Exactly. So, yeah, I think it's a conversation we can have moving forward. Real quick, Scott, before we get out of this show, Bucs going into the last month of the season. Quick thoughts on where they're at, where they're headed, what's in store for this team after the bye.
I think as long as they come back and don't have any players missing due to COVID,
that's huge.
I think this team should be able to go 3-1, if not 4-0 down the stretch. I think they're a better team. They've shown when they're the better team that they can beat lesser teams, and they've done that against the Giants. Hasn't always looked pretty. They've done that against the Panthers. I think that they can handle business against the Vikings. Dalvin Cook is going to present a challenge. The Bucs have done really well against the run again.
He got hurt today. I don't know if he came back or they were like carrying him off. I'm not sure what happened. But.
And we'll see, because the Vikings, they'll play another game and then they'll play the Buccaneers. So we'll see what his availability would be. But I think, listen, it's right there for the taking. Right, they have the opportunity. They control their own destiny. If they win out, they're They're 11 wins. That's going to automatically get them in the playoffs. 10 wins, well, this year will get them in the playoffs. 9 wins, and then you kind of need some things to happen, and you need, then you're kind of taking the ball out of your court and putting it in someone else's hands. So that's my initial thoughts.
Right.
John,
yeah.
We're gonna have even more time tomorrow to hash into all of this stuff, and we're gonna be back tomorrow at 4:00 for a post press conference, Pewter Report podcast, and then even though the Buccaneers will have 6 days off, 6 in a row. They won't be back in the building until the following Tuesday, and so we'll still have podcasts on Wednesday and Thursday this week at 4:00. But John, your final thoughts and take us out.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. We've got a podcast coming tomorrow, and we've got to break this down some more. But after seeing a little bit of the tape, hopefully, getting Arian's comments from tomorrow, and then we won't hear from anybody from the Bucs for a while. But we'll also take your questions tomorrow. So make sure you again hit that subscribe button, Pewter Report TV on YouTube. Get those notifications for when we go live. Hit that bell. Get those notifications for when we go live, because if you get those notifications, you don't have to try and remember when we're on. Your phone will just remind you, and it'll be great. And you can jump on here, offer your comments and criticisms, and you can, if you were Mayan Thompson, you can wig out a little bit over every loss. And I see you, Mayan. I see you in this chat just losing it, man. I'm with you. My heart breaks for you, brother. Like it's tough. And he wants to fire everybody. And so we need a little bit of that. So you can jump on here with mine, and you can give your comments and your criticisms and your thoughts on the game and how it's gone, and the season and how it's gone and where it's going really as the rest of the season kind of unfolds. We've got a month here that the Bucs can run the table and can be peaking at the right time. And in the playoffs, it's about matchups. I firmly believe that. So who do they match up with? And that'll all be stuff that we break down on this show. But first, got to get into this bye week and got to get out of this bye week without getting crushed by COVID. I mean, it's just huge. And Arian's pointed out today, I think he's exactly right. That's the biggest question mark for me right now, is how they getting out of this bye without COVID issues. Because right now, it seems like almost every team is getting affected by it, and the Bucs have stayed mostly clear of it so far. And so you hope that continues, but easier said than done. It's just tough. Some of it's unavoidable. So we'll see how that all breaks down. We'll be back tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. We'll break this down, get your comments, your criticisms, your questions.
Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah.
Guys. It's been fun.
Great show for sure from y'all. And we'll be back at it tomorrow. Hopefully most of y'all join us. If not all of y'all, that would be great. So until next time, thanks for listening to another edition of the Pewter Report podcast. Out.